For the past 6 years, I've made music every day. And for the past 6 months, I've made videos every day. If you want to know what I've learned from all of this, stay tuned.
DelicateBeats.com.
So I've put this list of 10 things I've learned from trying to be creative every single day. Here it is. Number 1, you're not going to want to do it every day. Surprisingly enough, it didn't take a long time before I didn't wake up every day like super pumped up about doing music. What I'm trying to say is you're going to be uninspired. You're going to suffer from loopitis. You're also going to throw away good ideas. The idea is to accept it and keep going. The feeling of being uninspired always subsides. But as we will see, there are specific methods you can use to make that happen. Number 2, you will need to find your golden hour. I was never a morning person. I always used to wake up grumpy, and it took me a long while to get started in the morning. I always thought I was a night owl. 6 years later, I realized I'm much more creative in the morning. My golden period or hour is actually between 7 and 11 a.m. Also, I never work past 9 p.m. The quality of my sleep has become such a success factor that I've realized I need a lot of time to cool down before going to bed. I always make sure I get at least 8 hours of sleep, as I've come to figure that this is the length that is perfect for my body and my mind to recover and be creative the next day. And interestingly enough, science has come to prove that the human mind is more apt and ready to be creative in the morning. The creative mind is an early riser and the editing mind sleeps in. So my advice to you is to try to do the creative stuff like writing music in the morning and do like arranging, mixing, and mastering in the afternoon. And then you can spend some of your evenings doing research, watching tutorials, and that kind of stuff. Basically, avoid trying to be too creative before going to bed, as this might jeopardize your next day. Number 3, you will need to warm up. When I get started in the morning, I don't just jump on the keys and try to write something. Usually what I'll do is fire up a few songs that I've been listening to lately on Spotify, or just load up like an electric piano or an acoustic piano on my keyboard and just, run my fingers across the keyboard, try to come up with just some kind of groove and just get acquainted. I'm not trying to really find any ideas. I find that just jamming on the keyboard aimlessly for 15 to 30 minutes before actually starting to write music has been very effective for me as I loosen up and let the creative juices flow. If you don't play the keys, that's also fine. You can either, beatbox or sing or do some stretching while listening to something on Spotify. The idea is to get active both in your body and your mind. Number 4, you will need to get your hands dirty. Listen, writer's block will never completely disappear. Let me read you a quote I found on Steven Pressfield's blog. "You're a loser, you're a bum, a worthless waste of oxygen. Look at you. Do you imagine that someone like you could produce something original, something of quality, something that anyone else would care about? What ideas do you have that haven't been done 1,000 times before? And better than you could ever dream of doing them? Who here has never had any of those kinds of thoughts? I personally struggle with this every day. The goal is to find some kind of activity that will drown out these thoughts. What works really good for me is what I call the abstract painter's approach. Basically, I'll fire up my DAW and put a bunch of loops and samples in the arrange window, and then I'll play this into a loop and I'll try to pick up some patterns between some of the sounds. I'll mute, solo some tracks, and just by doing that, my brain will start working something. So you know how these abstract painters just throw buckets of paint on these huge canvas, and then they'll probably put their hands through it and try to figure out what they see on the canvas. Well, this is the same thing, but with sound. The human brain is an incredible machine to make patterns out of nothing. Take advantage of this incredible faculty. Number 5, you will need to take naps. So when I get loopitis or when I get stuck on a very small portion of a song, I'm going to sit down in the living room. I'll let the beat play and I'll just sit there and listen and probably close my eyes, breathe deeply, and even meditate. In extreme cases, I'll just doze off and nap while the music is playing. You can't just blast your ears 8 hours a day. Fatigue will set in. The idea is to recognize that before it's too late, before your ears are no longer able to recognize what's good from what's not working in a song, and basically just stop for a second there, get your energy back, and then you can sit back at the desk again and become creative. If you do this right, you can get back in the studio with fresh ears and probably even better ideas. Number 6, you will need to go outside. I find that there's nothing more refreshing than nature. I'm actually lucky enough to have this incredible park right in front of my apartment building. Because naps can often be a very dangerous tool as you might get to sleep a bit too much, I also like to take walks and just go outside to change environments. I'll usually sit down on a bench, close my eyes, and just listen to the ambient noise, the wind, the people talking, and the children playing. Sometimes I'll even full-on meditate. Find some trees, find some sunlight, listen to the noise, and let it recharge your batteries. Number 7, you will need to use different mediums to create. I find that diversity is key to keep my brain fresh and creative. That's why I have built a business that encompasses all of these different skills, these creative skills I like to use. Music, obviously, graphic design, writing, filming, photoshopping, 3D animation, and the list goes on. Having a wide variety of tasks that are centered to my business's success allows me to never get really bored with something. If I find that I'm stalling on a particular song, I can turn around, grab my laptop, go outside, and go write some blog posts at the nearest coffee shop. I can also start designing some new interfaces for my contact instruments. I can take pictures for my Instagram, or I can film a new video for my YouTube channel. So if you like music, chances are you're also creative with something else. Maybe you're good at drawing, maybe you're good at photography, maybe you like doing videos, maybe you like singing. Find these activities that you like and use them to refuel your mind. Number 8, you will need to write down all of your ideas. Inspiration strikes at odd moments. You might get 30 ideas for songs within like 10 minutes, and then you'll go cold for days. Because of that, you need to find a way to document all of the ideas that strike you at these odd moments. Personally, I like to write down and create lists in Clear, an app that I have on my iPhone. I'll also sometimes hum melodies that I get on the voice recorder, also on my iPhone. And sometimes if I have like a chord progression in mind, I might use an app like ChordBot, or just write them down really quickly in my DAW and just export the MIDI file without trying to flesh out a more complex song idea. And finally, if you prefer handwriting, then you can just keep a moleskin maybe on your nightstand or on your studio desk and write down whatever comes to mind. The goal is to have a system so that when you have these genius ideas, they don't just flee away. Number 9, you will need to listen first. So I've mentioned this before, but a great way to get your juices flowing is to just sit down and listen to other people's music. Like I said, before I start a session, I'll always open Spotify and probably YouTube and try to listen to a bunch of different styles of music, different artists, and see what I can use from these people to incorporate into my own little formula. And finally, number 10, you will need to stay in great shape. The last thing I realized from creating every day for the past 6 years is the fact that you need stamina and you need a way to have the most focus for your sessions. And I find that staying in shape, exercising regularly helps me a lot when trying to achieve that. a sound mind in a sound body, as they say. To achieve peak performance, I also have changed my diet quite drastically. I have cut sugar, I eat a lot of fruits and veggies, unsalted nuts, and I drink like a gallon of water every day. And like I said, I also exercise somewhat every day. Stretching and yoga in the morning and evenings, calisthenics in the afternoon, and for inspiration, I've mentioned that before, but I'll take some brisk walks. As soon as I feel that my inspiration and stamina is going down, I do one of the previous activities I've mentioned just to give my mind some rest. So a new study in the journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, they say, exercising on a regular basis may thus act as a cognitive enhancer, promoting creativity in inexpensive and healthy ways. So with that being said, I invite you to find something that you can do every day. It doesn't have to be these crazy intense workouts. Just something to get the blood flow pumping again. Hey, listen, if you like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel and also follow me on Instagram at Delicate Beats. And as I've been telling you guys, I've also created something very special for producers who want to take their career to the next level. The Bedroom Super Producer Masterclass takes all of the teachings in my book, The Bedroom Super Producer, but gives you a far more detailed view of exactly how I achieve what I achieve, meaning how I create the music that sells on stock music licensing and that allow me to be a full-time music producer. So if that's something of interest to you, I invite you to click on the link in the description below and join the Early Bird Gang. That's a way for me to tell you exactly when the course will drop, and because spots are limited, you'll be able to reserve your spot. So click on the link below, enter your name and email, and I'll see you in the next video.